Day 2 at Indian Wells, and we already have our first big talking point. And it's not even about a result, it's about what's coming next. Because Grigor Dimitrov just punched his ticket into the second round, and his reward, Carlos Alcaraz, the world number one, the man who hasn't lost a single match in 2026. We'll get to what that actually means in a second. But first, let's go through everything that happened today because there was a lot. Dimitrov beat Terence Atmane 6-4, 5-7, 6-4. And look, it wasn't clean, it was far from clean. Atmane is a tricky lefty, dangerous off both wings, and he actually beat Dimitrov in Acapulco just 8 days ago. So there was already a little history going into this one. Dimitrov took the first set, lost the second. He had 7 break points at 5-5 and couldn't convert a single one of them, then got broken. That's the kind of thing that can unravel a match completely if you let it. But Dimitrov didn't let it. He came out in the third, broke early, and held his nerve the rest of the way. 2 hours and 28 minutes. Job done. And here's the thing about Dimitrov that people keep forgetting. He had a pectoral injury at Wimbledon last year that kept him off the tour for 7 months. 7. He's only just coming back. He hadn't won a single match since Brisbane at the start of this year before today. So this wasn't just a first-round win. This was a player finding his legs again after one of the roughest stretches of his career. And the first thing waiting for him on the other side is Alcaraz on Saturday. Now, let's talk about what this match actually means, because the head-to-head between these two is more interesting than most people realize. Dimitrov has beaten Alcaraz before, twice in his career. He knows how to play him. He knows that the pace, the variety, the drop shots, they can cause Alcaraz problems if the timing is right. Last year at this exact tournament, Alcaraz beat him 6-1, 6-1, completely dominated him. But that was a different Dimitrov. One who was maybe already feeling the injury that would end his season months later. The Dimitrov who shows up at Indian Wells on Saturday, fresh off a confidence-boosting win, playing with what he himself described as a completely new mindset, that's a different story. Dimitrov said after the match, and I love this, that at this point in his career, he's only looking at his own side of the net, win or lose. That's how he's approaching it. No fear, no pressure, just tennis. That mindset from an experienced player who has nothing to lose against the world number one, that's actually dangerous. Don't sleep on this. Alcaraz comes in 12-0 in 2026. Australian Open, Doha, perfect record. And his very first match at the tournament he's won twice is against a guy who plays in a way that can genuinely scramble him. If Dimitrov is moving well, if the serve is working, if he can get Alcaraz on the back foot early, this could be closer than the odds suggest. Now, Hurkacz, because this one genuinely hurt to watch. Alexander Kovacevic beat Hubert Hurkacz in straight sets. And I know Kovacevic is a solid player, a New Yorker who loves playing in California, but this should not be happening to a player of Hurkacz's caliber. Not in the first round. The serve, his biggest weapon, couldn't bail him out when the tie breaks arrived. And in both sets, that's exactly where it ended up. 2 tie breaks, 2 losses, 4 straight defeats now for Hurkacz going into Indian Wells. That is a really rough patch for the Polish player, and there are genuine questions now about his form and his confidence. The thing about Hurkacz is that on any given week, when the serve is landing and the forehand is clicking, he's a genuine threat to anyone. But right now, those two things aren't clicking at the same time. And in a Masters 1000 against an opponent who is playing freely with zero pressure on his shoulders, that combination gets punished. Kovacevic, for his part, deserves real credit. He said after the match that Indian Wells is his favorite tournament, and he'd never won a match here in his life. Not as a pro, not as a junior, not in qualifying, nothing. He finally gets one today against a top 20 opponent. Good day for him. Now, Giovanni Ampecci Pericard. And this one keeps getting harder to watch. Kamil Majchrzak beat him 6-3, 1-6, 7-5, and the way it ended tells you everything about where Pericard's head is right now. He was up a break in the third set. He was the better player at that moment, and then completely fell apart. 2 double faults on match point, a forehand long, and just like that, it's gone. That is 5 first-round exits in 2026 alone. 5. The serve gets him into matches, but the mental side keeps costing him when it matters most. Mikurzak now faces Djokovic in round 2. Different kind of afternoon coming up for him. Sebastian Korda had a cleaner day. He beat Francisco Comesaña. The first set was scrappy, both guys finding their feet, but once Korda settled, he was dominant, won the second set in a canter. After winning Delray Beach last month, Korda looks like a player who is finding that rhythm again, building confidence match by match. He's one to keep an eye on as the draw opens up. And then there's Rafael Jodar. If you haven't heard the name, remember it, 19 years old, Spanish. Came into 2026 ranked 165th in the world, and by the time Indian Wells rolled around, he'd already climbed to inside the top 110. 2 months. That's not a hot streak. That's a player arriving on tour with serious intent. But today was a reality check. Alejandro Tabilo beat him 6-1, 6-2 in 58 minutes, just shy of an hour. Jodar barely got a look in. Tabilo was dialed in from the very first game, serving well, controlling the baseline, breaking at key moments in both sets. The level gap was visible and it was real. But here's the thing, and this is actually important. You cannot judge a 19-year-old on a result like this. Playing your first Masters 1000 main draw match against a top 40 opponent who is in form. Getting beaten cleanly is not a disaster. It's a lesson. It's experience. Jodar will be back here many times. The climb from 165 to where he is now happened in weeks. The ceiling on this kid is genuinely exciting if the development continues. Tabilo now plays Medvedev. That'll be a proper test for the Chileans, so that's day 2 wrapped up. And before we close, let's look ahead to day 3, because this is where the tournament really starts to feel like itself. Jannik Sinner plays his opening match, his very first match of this Indian Wells campaign, the tournament he needs to win more than almost anywhere else on the calendar right now. He faces Sversina, which on paper is manageable, but after the year Sinner's had so far, every single result feels like it carries extra weight. He can't afford another stumble. He just can't. Zverev plays Berrettini. Monfils plays Auger Aliassime in what promises to be emotional. The retirement tour against the young Canadian on a stage they both love. Sabalenka opens her campaign. Goff, too. Day 3 is where we start finding out who is actually ready to go deep in this tournament. But between now and then, like on Saturday, Alcaraz and Dimitrov step on court. And I genuinely think that's a match you don't want to miss. Do you think Dimitrov can pull off the upset? Or does Alcaraz just handle it comfortably and keep the perfect run going? Tell me in the comments, because honestly, I'm not as sure as I usually am on this one. That's it for today. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe. It helps me a lot to keep posting videos daily. Thank you so much. See you in the next one.